I'm not coming up from $20 million. My goal is to get you guys to just accept that Justin Tucker is like,
hey guys, I'll be right back.
good morning, everybody. It is December 15th, 2021. We're halfway through December already. We just wrapped up week 14 of the NFL season, which means that we have a month left of regular season football. Just a month. That's it. I'm joined by Brad Cummings and future Father of the Year award winner, Chad Cummings. He wasn't here last pod. He is back. How are you doing, Chad?
Hey guys, hey, I'm doing good. I'm a father. We got a healthy little baby girl named Asher, and she is beautiful as all heck. We love her to death, and we couldn't be more thankful.
Definitely.
And when you guys were doing the last pod on last week, we just got sent from the doctor's office to go walk until Taylor got dilated more. So we were walking around a track when you guys were doing the pod last time and getting the baby ready to come out. So
wow, no way. When's the last time you ran or walked on a track? I couldn't even tell you.
It's been a while. Usually I just run around the neighborhood, but yeah,
that's what I do.
It was close to the hospital. She said, come back in 2 hours, go walk around. I was like, let's go to the track.
Huh, cool.
And then we had a baby the next morning.
6 a.m., early birth.
Wow. Early bird, yep.
Gosh, well, at least it set up the rest of your day, right? To be joyful and happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's great to have you back. I loved having Brad as my drip Bayless, but it's always good to have a 3-part hosting gig. The pod was so short. I was like, wow, I edited it and it was under 45. I think it was under 45 minutes or something like that. And I was like, oh, man, it's crazy not having 2 hosts. But we did a great job, and let's get into it. We suffered a loss, boys. 24-22. We lose to the Cleveland Browns. I will start off with Chad, since the absence of you has made my heart grow fonder for you. No offense, Brad. I love you too.
That's okay, dude. I smell.
So first impressions of the game, Chad. Like, what did you think? Obviously, Lamar Jackson goes out early with an injury. He was 4-4 to start the game. Mm-hmm. Calais Campbell goes out with an injury as well. We get into a pretty big hole early, and then we rallied back and we almost won the game, but things just didn't end up lining up and mistakes were made, and we end up losing 24-22. But Chad, what are some general impressions of the game that you saw? Anything good, anything positive that stood out to you? Or anything negative that stood out to you?
I would like to start out with saying we are the most resilient football team in the league this year. With all the injuries we have, to lose our quarterback within the first half of the first quarter, to lose one of our defensive leaders in the first quarter as well, to almost come back and only lose by 2 points. The defense did not let them score the whole second half of the game. Props to John Harbaugh and his coaching staff. With all these injuries from the day one of training camp to be where we are now, still in the division lead, it just blows my mind. And it just speaks volumes to the organization and the coaching that we have. I'd say we got off to a slow start before Lamar's injury. Like, there was a couple of long third downs where Lamar tries to run up the middle and we don't even get close to the first down. I'm just like, what's going on? It's just like the same stuff. And then we had that Andrews had a hell of a catch on the sideline, one-handed, which was reminiscent of the failed 2-point conversion in Pittsburgh the week before. He caught that one, and then we're like, oh, what a great catch, and then pan to the backfield, and Lamar's on the ground rolling around, grabbing his ankle. We're just like, oh, here we go. There's nowhere we're gonna win this game. But dude, Huntley, man, that drive to end the first half, I was very impressed. And then we start off very strong with the first offensive possession in the second half. And we get all the way down to like the 10-yard line. And he's slinging the ball left and right, man. And he gets that fumble down there. That momentum was gone. But I was very impressed with how our offense stayed strong with the absence of Lamar. And Huntley did pretty well, except for the 2 obvious fumbles. Without the defense, man, we wouldn't have had a chance, because with our 2 turnovers putting us in a huge hole, our defense didn't allow their offense to score for 3 quarters. Like, the last thing they scored was the fumble return for a touchdown by their defense. So their offense didn't score. I was watching the highlights before because I was a little out of it actually watching the game. We were able to watch the game in the labor room. There was nurses in and out, so it was kind of distracting. But rewatching the film, I was just like, what a hell! I mean, we have a hell of a team, hell of an organization, and I'm optimistic as long as Lamar is healthy, keep this division lead and make it into the playoffs.
I gotta say, you missed maybe you bring the positivity. You missed a very negative podcast last week. I said they were going 1-4. I loved the way the defense played in the second half. Yep. We're going to talk about it a little bit later in the pod. But Brad, I want to get your impressions on this game. Do you have a problem with the play calling? You texted me a couple nights ago and you were just like, I'm out on Greg Roman, basically. Do you still hold that today? Was there anything you noticed positively or negatively about this team?
Yeah. I mean, I strictly texted that just because of that last play of the fucking game. You got to get a first down. And of course, the son of a bitch calls a play where you're going 2 yards off of the line of scrimmage when you need to get 7 yards, and there's a short pass to Bateman. Why are you not sending all your receivers past that first down mark? Like, that was a dumb play. I don't know if it was supposed to be a pick and catch, but it wasn't ran right, and it wasn't the right call. It was just as bad as calling a screen pass to Hollywood 1 3rd down and 8, like he always does. So that's why I said that. I mean, it was just a terrible play call. With the game, I mean, it was a cool game. The first thing that injury to Lamar Jackson should have never happened. I mean, you watch that freaking play. I mean, it could just be me because I'm a Ravens fan trying to figure out why that happened. But when that dude, he's diving for Lamar Jackson, like after Lamar Jackson already has the ball gone. And then you can see the way the man hooks the guy's ankle. Like, he's going for Lamar's leg. It kind of looked dirty to me. The dude, like, actually hooks and lands his entire shoulder onto Lamar's lower leg. But yeah, after that, I mean, Huntley came in and he actually balled out. He looked like the Huntley from the last game of the preseason when he tore it up against Washington. And he threw 4 dimes that game. And he was throwing balls into, especially to Bateman, that, I actually haven't even seen Lamar really throw balls like that this year. Besides that one touchdown where just got completely just beat Villanueva. Honestly, he couldn't really handle somebody like Garrett, and he just strip fumble. I can't really blame that one for him as much as you can blame Huntley for the one in the red zone. Besides that, our defense did step up. Our offense looked good after the second half. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We might not have Lamar for Green Bay, so I'm kind of excited to see if Huntley just had a good game at the end of the game, or if he's actually able to ball out. So we'll see what happens next week.
He's been impressive this year, Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
A lot of these he goes 27 for 38, 270 yards, a touchdown, no picks. The fumbles are brutal though. The third quarter fumble when they're in the red zone, it was just completely deflating. I was like, wow, we might actually go down there and get a touchdown. And it just, the way it goes, he had a guy come up from behind him, took him down, and they got the ball back. And those are, especially now in December football, those are mistakes that you just can't make because you're going to lose games by 2 points. If you make those kind of mistakes, I guess you're going to stack up L's, right? But there's a lot of positives to take away from this game. Brad, the last pod we were on, I was saying, the Ravens are going to go 1-4. I don't know now. I really enjoyed the way that the defense played pretty much the entire game. There was a play, I think Chris Westry gets a pass interference or something like that.
Wasn't a pass interference.
Yeah.
Right.
You're talking about the first quarter?
Yeah, the first quarter. And then the crazy thing is, we were talking a couple pods ago about Tyus Bowser stepping up and being a voice on the defense. The first person over there arguing with the ref about it is Tyus Bowser. Yeah. I know it was a bad call, and I know that is it's a call that honestly Chris Westry I thought made a great play on the ball. But I really liked the fact that Tyus Bowser is going up there and talking to the refs and being like, yo, because it's a voice. You have a voice on defense. And it's something that Chad alluded to a few weeks ago about how we just don't have that voice. And Tyus Bowser can fill that role, which is great. I think that's a good sign making a playoff push. The Lamar Jackson injury. So he has a sprain. We're going to talk about the upcoming Green Bay game. I don't think they're going to win anyway. I just don't have a whole lot of faith in an offense that can't put up over 24 points if Aaron Rodgers is on the other side of the field. But we'll talk about that a little bit later in the pod. Do you think it's the right decision to start Lamar, Brad? If he's not 100%, it's still kind of early. We saw what Tyler Huntley could do. Is it possible that maybe you sit Lamar and you wait to see if his condition gets better? Or do you think it's just too tenable right now and you have to make a playoff push? Because I make an argument. I'm a lot more optimistic than I was the last podcast. I think they can beat the Bengals, and I think they can beat the Steelers. So what do you think? Like, should they rest Lamar? Is this like do they have to be strategic here? Or if Lamar is ready to play, he's ready to play and they go out and they risk it anyway?
Personally, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, you saw how long they kept Kyler Murray out for with his ankles. He was out, what, 3 or 4 games with his bye. I mean, if you're saying that Lamar Jackson's your guy, why risk it? If you got Huntley coming in doing what he just did, and he could do it again against Green Bay, why not just put him in and just let Lamar get the rest that he needs? If we're going to make a playoff push, I personally don't think that a hurt Lamar Jackson against a Green Bay's defense, which is pretty good, is the way to go. I mean, Lamar makes a lot of his money rushing, and they are the 9th ranked rush defense in the league. So I say put Tyler Huntley in, let him rest, and just see if Tyler can go and do his thing.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think you potentially rest Lamar. Tyler Huntley is playing well, has played well, proved that he can, keep us in games and win games. It's an NFC game. A loss to an NFC team is less detrimental than a loss to an AFC team and a division foe who we have the next couple, AFC games. So I'd rather them rest Lamar. I know it's a big game because it's Green Bay. It's a big team. They're a great team. Lamar against Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's going to be a lot of viewership, but it's up to his coaching. And I think you can take an L in an NFC game because that loss in an NFC game, like I said, is not as detrimental as when it comes to playoff positioning and seeding. So I'd say rest.
Yeah, and on top of that, too, it's not like anyone else in the AFC North is playing all that great either.
Yeah.
The Bengals have dropped 2 games
Exactly.
in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like no one wants to win. Like,
Exactly.
No one wants to win the AFC North for some reason. And I don't really understand why.
And I don't know if you guys heard the breaking news this morning, but the Cleveland Browns, it seems like they're not going to have their head coach or starting quarterback for this game this Saturday, and they play Saturday.
We're going to talk about that when we go into playoff implications because I think that's huge.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Browns. And who Cincinnati plays? Who does Cincinnati play this week?
Cincinnati. Let's see. Let's pull them up real fast. They're at the Broncos.
Right. So I think there's an opportunity where all 4 of us lose this week. I think you should rest Lamar because we got the division lead. If Cincinnati wins, and we're tied, we still have that next game to play them to try to break that tiebreaker or at least even it out. So I think it's smart to rest Lamar.
I don't know. I think you're right. The Kyler Murray situation is a little weird because I think like Colt McCoy, all the playmakers on that team, whether it's Zach Ertz, whether it's Christian Kirk, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins, all those guys, they have a significantly better skills players. I think the skills players are better for Arizona, and that's why they felt more comfortable sitting Kyler out. I don't know if that's the case with Lamar. I mean, there's been a lot of reports where they say if he's good to go, they're going to start him and play him. But I don't know. I think Tyler Huntley, I don't know if you're going to take a win in this game anyway. So why not start Tyler Huntley and just see what he can do and give him a full reps? And who knows, maybe we score a first quarter touchdown. That's a great segue to the offense. There were some positives to take away. Mark Andrews broke Todd Heap's franchise single-season receiving yards record. He had 115 receiving yards and a tutty, so that's good, including a catch and run where he was just dragging Bengals. I loved that. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. Where is talk about, and it's sort of like the Ravens offense, right? The big plays are generated with short yardage. They'll make a short toss, and then it's up to the receiver to do the rest.
Yeah.
And Mark Andrews, say what you want. I know he's had bad moments this year, but he has been balling out for the Ravens overall. And then Rashod Bateman, dude, my guy, Rashod Bateman. I was so impressed with him this week. Yep. Whether it was him catching a ball on the sideline and faking out, I think it was Greedy Williams, right? The corner that they have out there.
I think so.
pumped him, he got a nice spin to the inside and got loose. And then he had a catch. Brad, I think when you say, oh, Tyler Huntley is making a lot of these throws that Lamar wouldn't, I think it's because Lamar Jackson has had a few years with Hollywood Brown, and that guy just will not go up and make a play on a ball if he's in man coverage. We talked about this extensively. Rashad Bateman is not that kind of receiver. I saw him make 2 catches on the sideline. One, he goes down at the 1, right? I almost thought he had a touchdown. Yeah. And then the other one was towards the end of the game where Tyler threw a ball up. It was contested. He caught it. And then the best thing that he does, and it's something that I'm going to take to the bank with this kid. He catches it, makes an awesome catch, and then just walks back to the line, right? Like, we've seen Chase Claypool this past week take a lot of shit for situational football and celebrating and all that. And Rashod Bateman is not like that. And I fucking love that about this kid. Despite that, can you take a guess on the last time that the Ravens scored a touchdown in the first quarter? Just take a guess how long ago it was.
The first game of the season against Vegas.
No, it was a little earlier than that.
Minnesota?
Or later than that, excuse me.
Minnesota?
Earlier than that. It's the Chargers when we beat them 34-6 back in week 6.
Wow.
Damn.
That's the last time that the Ravens have scored a first quarter touchdown. That's a huge problem in the playoffs. I don't know what it is. I think it's the offensive line play. So we'll start with Chad. The outside protection for Lamar has not been great this year. What do you think? I don't know. There's a lot of little micro things about the offense that we've talked about, third down conversions being one of them. What do you do to fix it? Or is there so many little problems that it's hard to pinpoint exactly what you should do to tweak the offense?
Yeah, it's just I think it's the talent and age level of our offensive line. I mean, we're missing our best player, Ronnie Stanley. We lost Orlando Brown we traded him. We got Owe out of it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But the continuity of our offensive line is diminished from last year. And I think what they're trying to do and because the first 5 or 6 weeks, they were doing a big rotation. Right now, the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's been the starting lineup, and that's it. No rotation at all. Ben Cleveland hasn't got any playing time. Phillips hasn't been rotating in. He just got the start this week because of an injury. And there's another guy, Cologne, hasn't been getting in there except for one play to relieve somebody that had to go out real quick. So I feel like they've accepted that the offensive line is what it is. I think they think that the best thing is keep that offensive line in there no matter what to build, the continuity. So I think it's one of our biggest weaknesses of our team this year, and it's not going to get any better. So we just got to work around it.
Right. And I think it's something we desperately need at this point. It's just, I think it's all connected, right? Receivers aren't getting open, and because receivers aren't getting open, Lamar's holding on to the ball longer, but the offensive line is not great. So he's going to take 4 or 5 sacks a game on top of the fact that he's trying to get out of the pocket and run. You're just going to take more sacks, and it's just been a problem all year. We've covered it on the pod a lot. Let's switch over to defense. This is the unit that has made me a lot more optimistic about how this last month of the season is going to go. Anthony Averett got a nice interception, returned it for 21 yards. I think that was towards the end of the second quarter. And that's really when things started to flip, right? They get the field goal there. Brandon Stevens. Okay, I don't like saying this very often because it makes me sound like a dick, but Brandon Stevens fucking has this interception in his hands. You know which one I'm talking about? Baker throws it, gets tipped up in the air.
Right.
And he does this volleyball bump or something. The ball goes up, he gets another shot at it, and it drops on the ground. And you're like, all right, well, no wonder our turnover margin fucking sucks, right?
Yeah.
We get some of these interceptions in our hands, we don't finish it, right? And then we turn the ball over, and it makes it worse.
Yeah, it's been Chuck Clark for 3 weeks straight, and then this is Steven. We've been dropping easy picks left and right.
Besides that, though, besides the turnover stuff, which is the really glaring thing of our defense that is problematic, and a lot of it has to do with the offense not converting points. But other than that, we shut them out in the second half. So Brad, is this something that's sustainable? Like, I think that they've been playing really great for the past 3 weeks. And I tend to look at trends 3 to 4 weeks. If you've played well 3 to 4 weeks, you've got something good going there. What'd you think of the defense in this game? Like, I was really impressed with how they handled things besides a few miscues.
Yeah, no, they definitely did good. The way that they shut down their offense for basically the last 3 quarters was impressive. That pick was sickening. I can't believe that he dropped that because, I mean, there was nobody really around him. If he would have, even while he dove and picked that up, he could have got up because nobody was around him and took it and ran it for God knows how long. But Averett had a nice pick. That was I think he tried to hit Landry on a comeback towards the outside. He threw it inside, and Averett was just sitting there, and he returned that. I think that ended up being field goal for that because our offense got stood up. Yeah, man, they look good, but I don't really. I mean, I haven't trust our defense at all. Our run defense, I'm cool with. I mean, rush defense, we're actually still first. Our offense has dropped back to third.
Compared to how we were playing earlier, and considering we had no corners,
Yeah, exactly.
We just went out and got Tony Jefferson, by the way. We picked him up. He had an Achilles tear in 2019, and he sort of underperformed for the Ravens when he was playing as a starter, and they picked him back up. I think it's to get Brandon Stevens out of free safety. I think they want to move some guys around. So that might be a positive sign. But I think overall, the defense has played okay. I'm really impressed. They've changed my perception on how I think the rest of the season is going to go.
I agree because, like you said, the injuries we've had and the way they've stood up to the injuries, they're playing pretty well.
You can only ask so much, but
Yeah.
Right. And if the offense was somewhat capable, right? If some of these turnovers were 6 points instead of 3, the margin of victory in this game was 2 points.
Yep.
I mean, it's such a fragile win for the Browns. And now they're dealing with this COVID outbreak, and it's sort of changed my perception on the playoff push for the Ravens a lot more positively than I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good sign. I like the fact that our defense seems to be humming. It's a good time for units to start getting better. I still think 10 wins you the AFC, like wins you a ticket to the dance. And the Ravens are only 2 games out from that. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited for the next couple of weeks. I know this is a loss, but there's a lot of positive things to look at as well. Yeah. So before we go on to the playoff stuff, let's talk about a pretty controversial topic. Not a controversial topic, I guess, in the sense that it didn't get much airtime, but it was talked about on some of these networks. Chad, we'll start with you. The 2-point conversion on the first touchdown, the one that we end up missing it. Oh, hey, whoop. It's a critter. I like it. We end up missing it, right? Do you have a problem with us going for 2 points in that situation as opposed towards the end of the game? Because I actually liked the call when it came up.
Yeah, there had to be a 2-point conversion made at some point. So take advantage of the opportunity you have now because you don't know if you're going to have another opportunity later. Like you can't, So I'm cool with the call. Obviously, it didn't. If we would have kicked 1 point, it would have been an 8-point game versus a 9-point game. But then you have to do the 2-point conversion again later down the road. Take it when you have an opportunity to do it, and then from there, you know what you can do. There was still 8-9 minutes left in the game.
It was like 9 minutes left on the clock in the fourth quarter. Yeah. So
that gives you, and I think that was Coach's point, was if we make it or if we don't make it, we know where we're at in the next 9 minutes of the game. Whereas if you postpone it and hope you score again, it gives you more of a decisive action. Like, okay, now we know we have to do this versus being hopeful that you get another opportunity,
Brad, what did you think?
I'm cool with it. I just didn't like the play call, truthfully. You just wheel out to the right. Everybody's going to the right, and then you're throwing the ball into triple covers, double covers, and it gets picked off. I mean, if you're going to do that and you're wheeling everybody out to the right, have like a tight end on the opposite side sneaking out, so he's just sitting wide open in the end zone, and then just throw across field into the end zone with a wide open player. You know what I mean? If you're drawing everybody to one side, why not have some kind of sneaky play going off to the other side and actually make something happen? They had literally no chance of making that play.
It seemed like it was similar to 2 or 3 of the 2-point conversions we converted in the Indy game. everybody goes to the right. One was to Andrews and one was to Marquise Brown. So it's worked before.
Yeah, and if you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, maybe there's a different outcome with that. Phil Simmons had a terrible take on NFL Today on this. He basically was saying that analytics, he doesn't understand why you don't just kick the extra point there, but he didn't really have a good enough reason as to why.
Yeah.
You do that. It's like, Phil, just because you kick an extra point, most teams kick an extra point there, doesn't mean that you have to. And I feel like it gives you more options at the end of the game, right? So let's say you make it. Now you only need a touchdown and an extra point to tie, right? There's less pressure on your offense. Your defense has been playing great. They've shut out the Browns in the second half. I thought it was kind of a no-brainer call, right? And it's like Phil Simms is on NFL Today, and he's like, I want the analytics people to explain to me why this is a good decision, right? And it's such a out of touch take. And James Brown gives him an out, right? James Brown goes, well, I'm the master of paraphrasing here. He basically says well, why don't we have a guy in the studio to explain some of this analytics stuff, right? Because if you have, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean you have to have a negative take on it, right? You can understand that, hey, in this situation, mathematically, you're in a better spot to go for 2 here instead of later on in the game. And I didn't even think analytics was involved. I thought it was just a common sense decision.
Yeah.
Would you rather have 9 minutes left to score 8 points or to score 7 points? Or would you rather have less than a minute to score 8? It just seemed like it made sense to me. And Phil Simms is I don't know anything about analytics and I don't care about it. And I just think it's funny that a guy who played a sport that revolves around numbers doesn't care how math works out in that exact same game. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. And then we should talk about the onside kick completion. Is this a roadmap for what Justin Tucker, by the way, perfect soccer kick. Yeah. Right? Side of the foot, bounces, hits a defender, bounces off, back into the Ravens area of the field, and guy dives on it. Is this a blueprint? Are we just going to be targeting defensive players and hope it ricochets off them and we get more favorable field? What are we going to do? I thought it was a great play. It was a really great conversion.
Yeah. Well, I hope we're not in that position ever again. No. But having Justin Tucker makes me feel a little bit, the percentages are low anyway, especially with the rule change that happened in 2018, where you can't stack one side. It has to be even players on all sides. I looked at the numbers. Since the rule change in 2018, only 4 out of 52 onside kicks were successful. So that was 8%. And the year before that, it was a 21% chance of success rate. So it dropped from 21% chance to 8% in just 1 year. And it has only dropped since then because less people are doing it. Right. It went from 8% to 6%. And then last year it was 4.23% conversion rate. So they almost, and that's what I'm saying. It was the same kick in the Steelers game where we missed it. The whole, come up to it, kick it with the opposite foot behind your leg. And this time it worked out. So Tucker's one of 2 on onside kicks this year. Hopefully he doesn't have to attempt another one. But I thought it was a huge moment in the game because I was like, we're down by 2. They have a minute left. Our defense has to force a 3 and out to give us even a chance to win the game. And when we go up there and get that onside kick, I was going crazy. I was like, this is it. We really have a chance. But obviously it didn't go out that way. But to even have that chance like that was very exciting.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you're going to have somebody who's going to attempt to kick like that, why not have it be the $45 million man, right? You're coming up from 10 mil, right? After a 8% chance of success, Chad. 8% chance of success. And the $20 million man, I called him the $45 million man. That's a joke. $20 million man pulls off an 8%. Are you coming up? You have to come up. Both of you.
When I was listening to the Arizona and Rams game, the broadcaster said that they had, after the first 13 weeks, only one team has done an onside kick and converted it. And then this week there has been 4. And Matt Prater was the 4th one during that game where he tried to make a comeback and obviously lost.
Wait, so this week there was 4 onside kicks
There
converted?
was 4 onside kicks converted.
Okay, well, that's an anomaly. I don't think that's like a crazy outlier that if you saw it in a data sheet, you'd be like, oh, that's weird. What happened this week? A lot of close games, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you're not coming up from what were you at, Chad? 10 million, 8 million?
I'm capping at 10. Still, I'm not. There's nothing going up from 10.
Well, I mean, if you have an 8% chance of doing it, like if it's a casino game and there's an 8% chance that you're going to win, I don't think you play that game.
No.
But the $20 million man can play that game.
Yeah, he can. He can play that game.
All right, let's go to the playoff picture. Let's do it.
My favorite part. Yay.
Yeah, this is my favorite part too. I do the NFL playoff machine and I fucking love this thing. I really, really do. Mine has changed significantly from last week. Here's who I have in the AFC. The first seed I got is Kansas City. Second seed is New England. The third seed is Tennessee. And then the 4th seed, boys, I've got Baltimore at 10-7, winning the division. The Bengals really disappointed me. I thought that the Bengals could have, if they had won that game against San Francisco, they were in such a good spot. There's still pressure on us to lose the division, but I think the Bengals are kind of trending south, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then in the original list, I had Cincinnati winning the division, but now I'm not so sure. I'm not 100% positive that that's like a foregone conclusion. The Chargers going 11-6 at the 5th seed, so they would play in Baltimore. And then for the 6th seed, I've got Indianapolis, and they would be playing at Tennessee. And then Buffalo is still my 7th seed, even though they kind of haven't been playing very well either these past couple of weeks. So that's what I have on the AFC side.
I don't have, so you, in the wild card, you have Chargers, Colts, and Bills. I feel like I'm still not sold on the Colts. But with the COVID issues with the Browns, because I originally had the Browns that we talked 2 weeks ago. But with the COVID issues with the Browns, I don't see how they win this game. I think they go 7-7, and the Colts have the Patriots. They might go 7-7. So I think that 7th seed is still, or that 7th spot is still up in the air between Colts, Browns, and Bengals. I think the Chargers has solidified that they're going to be in the playoff, and the Broncos are still in the I'm surprised about it. Broncos play Bengals, so the winner of this game, Broncos and Bengals, I hope it's the Broncos, but that could determine who is fighting for the last seed, the win of this game potentially. I mean, there's still 4 weeks left, but I'm surprised the Broncos are still in the running.
I do agree. I think they have a great chance to sort of make waves late in the playoffs. We didn't cover Demaryius Thomas passing away in the last podcast. I left a little tribute to him at the end of the pod. So go back and check out our week 13 recap to see that. Could this be a situation with Denver where they rally behind like Demaryius Thomas passing away and they make a playoff push late and sneak into the playoffs as like a 7th seed? Because I could see that happening. The Broncos have been weird all season.
I don't think the offense is good enough. And really, I mean, the defense is decent, but I don't think their team all around is good enough.
I don't know. I like some of the pieces they have on offense. I mean, you've got Teddy Bridgewater there. So I don't know. And their schedule down the stretch is pretty tough. I mean, they're home against the Bengals. Yeah. They're at the Raiders, at the Chargers, and home against the Chiefs to finish up the season.
Yeah, so I mean, the only one that is like a potential for them to win is the Raiders game, and that's it.
You don't think they can beat Cincinnati?
Fuck no. Absolutely not. No, I honestly think Cincinnati might take our division. So
okay. I don't know. I would, a week ago, Brad, I would have agreed with you. In fact, I did agree with you a week ago. But you lose 2 games in a row again for the second time this season. And now you're a lot closer in the divisional matchups. We're all close in the AFC North, right? But you're actually, I think Cleveland has actually hopped them in the standing. But with the COVID situation with the Browns, I agree. I don't think they beat the Raiders. And I think that kind of pushes them out of the race. But if we let's look at the Bengals, it's not like we're going to learn anything by looking at schedules for the AFC North, because all of these teams have it rough towards the end of the year. So they're at Broncos, home against the Ravens, home against the Chiefs, and then at the Browns, which I don't really think is I don't think it's a foregone conclusion.
That's a tough stretch, man.
Yeah, it's tough. But the Ravens stretch is just as difficult, right?
Yeah.
It's Green Bay, and then we play the Bengals, then the Rams, and then we finish off with the Steelers. So
but the only difference is we got a 1-game lead.
Yeah, but we're playing we got 2 divisional games left, and then we're playing 2 of the top 5 teams in the NFC, one being the best team in the league right now.
And the Rams look pretty good on Monday night as well against the Cardinals. I mean, I don't think that those out of conference games, I don't think they're wins. But 10 wins is all you need to get a ticket to the dance in the AFC, right?
It's looking that way. So that means we need 2 more. Los Angeles needs 2 more, and that leaves 2 spots where there's 5. So there's 2 spots where there's 5 teams. And in order to get those 2 spots, 2 of those 5 teams need to win 3 games.
Right.
Who out of those 5 teams that are 7-6 has a better chance of winning 3 games, in your opinion?
All right. So let's take a look, because you've got Buffalo.
Yeah. So
I got Browns, Bengals, and Colts, and the Broncos.
Yep. So let's look at their schedules. I'll start with the Colts. The Colts have to play the Patriots this week.
Loss.
I think that's a loss.
Are they home or away?
They're home.
I don't think it matters at this point. I think that New England's such a good team. I think they're taking them.
So they're home.
Number 1.
They're home against the Patriots this weekend. I think they lose. They're away at the Cardinals the next week. I think that's a loss. Then they're home against the Raiders. I think they can win that. And then they're away at the Jaguars. I think they can win that. So I say they go 2-2. That leaves them at 9-8. Does that make the playoffs 9-8? What do you think? Do you think they can win one of those games against the Patriots, or you do?
I do. I do.
With the Cardinals?
I think anytime you have a rookie quarterback going up against a very stout and staunch defensive unit, I think that's a big problem. And I think Mac Jones has played so extraordinarily well. I think we're kind of getting blinded to the fact that he's still a rookie quarterback. Most rookie quarterbacks are not Mac Jones and Justin Herbert, right? They don't come out and just dominate the league right away. I think Mac Jones benefits from having a really great system and a really great fit. And I do think he is a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I really do. If you're going to lose, I think you could lose to the Colts with Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner and some of their corners like Rock Ya-Sin and all these other guys. I think they could actually, as long as Carson Wentz plays okay. They have the run game. If you need to burn up clock, they've got Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines. I really like that team. I've been kind of on their bandwagon though. So I think they win the Patriots game.
I can see it happening, but I'm going to say no. So Brad and I have the Colts going 2-2, and you have them going 3-1.
Correct.
So the next team would be the Bills. Bills have Panthers. I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Then the Bills have the Patriots.
They're going to lose.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's tough.
I
think they lose that game.
It's at the
all
Patriots.
They have to do is run the ball. They already know it. They did it last time. They don't have to throw the ball, and they beat them.
Patriots beat the Bills, right? Last time?
Yes, they did. 14-10. That was the weird win game where the win.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm just gonna go Patriots that game.
Absolutely.
And then the Bills play the Falcons. I think Bills can do that. And then the Bills play the Jets. So I think the Bills can go 3-1.
They can get to 10. Yeah, but they've lost 3 of their last 4 games though.
Yeah, they've had a pretty surprising lose stretch, in my opinion. I thought they'd be better than that.
Carolina's defense isn't that bad. Their offense sucks. Their defense isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Hey, one of those losses, by the way, was a 41-15 drubbing to the Indianapolis Colts. So the Colts own the tiebreaker. That's why they would get the 6th seed.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. Good point. So if they both go 10-7, Colts would have them up by 1. Okay.
Which would make sense, right? Because they'd be scrapping over the 7th seed. Let's say the Colts do go 3-1. Bills have the same record. They're going to take over at 6 just because they whooped their ass earlier in the year. Not even that long, a month ago. Okay, so there's that. I think the Bills can get to 10 wins for sure.
Yeah.
The Bengals.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Ben. Do that list if you have it.
Okay.
Picked up.
So with the Bengals, here we go. They're at the Broncos, home against the Ravens, home against the Chiefs, and at the Browns. Man, I guess it just depends on which team shows up, right? Like, is the team that hung 41 points on the Steelers going to show up? Or is the team that lost to the Chargers 41-22 going to show up? Like, it's such a feast and famine team.
Yeah, I say they go 2-2.
I don't think they beat the Ravens the second time.
I don't think it. Yeah, I'd say that's a loss.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty confident. And then at the Browns, they could split that too. They're home against the Chiefs. That's a loss, right? I don't anticipate them winning that game. But they could. It's the Ravens. There's so many question marks. Maybe they get to 10-7. But I'm not as confident with them as I am Denver. I think Denver can get to 10-7. But I'm not as confident with the Bengals. The AFC North is a dogfight.
Okay. So what do you think, Brad? I say 2-2 for the Bengals rest of the year. What do you think, Brad?
I'm gonna go 3-1.
Or you think they're gonna beat the Ravens?
Yeah.
So Brad has Cincinnati going 10-7. So Brad currently has Cincinnati and the Bills in those playoff spots. Let's look at the Browns. Browns play the Raiders, but they are COVID issues.
Right.
I guess that's a loss at this point. And then they play Packers, loss. Then they play the Steelers. They could win that. And then they play the Bengals. They could also win that. But I don't see them winning 3 games. So I don't think
it's possible they go 0-4, right?
Yeah, I think that's possible. So I don't think the Browns have a chance anymore. Just because that COVID, if they were full health, I think they beat Las Vegas, but the Browns are out of it. And then Broncos, the last of the 7-6. Broncos play Cincinnati. I don't know if they win or lose this game. I hope they win, but that's a tough one. I feel like you two already picked Bengals to win that game, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think the last win that they had was a 38-10 victory over the Lions. I don't really know what that means. They've beaten really good teams this year. They've beaten the Chargers, who are in the division. They beat the Cowboys. They beat Washington. And that's pretty much it. They were the team that started 3-0, and then the Ravens beat them. But
yeah,
Bengals at Raiders, at Chargers, on home at the Chiefs. So they've got, it's kind of like the AFC North. They've got 3 divisional games right here at the back end. I think there's 2 versions of this Broncos team, right? There's the version that takes Demaryius Thomas's death and they use it as a catalyst for the rest of the season. Or there's the team that's just, they're not that great. They're mediocre. And it's going to be hard for them to get to 10 wins, but they could. I think they could beat the Chargers. The Chargers have been so up and down this year. Maybe they get a win there. That's what's hard about these playoff rankings. It's like no team really stands out to you. Like, okay, besides Kansas City and New England, those are the 2 teams where I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely. Like they're going to beat every other opponent. But I don't know about the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think they go 1-3.
Okay.
So looking at those 5 teams for that last spot, I just think the Bills are going to make it. They're too good not to make the playoffs, so I can't imagine them not making the playoffs.
Right.
So then, even though they've had a couple losses that I was surprised about the last couple of weeks. So for me, it's the Bengals or the Colts. And that's a tough one. I'm going to say Bengals. I think Bengals overtake the Colts. That means
Carson Wentz, right? Like, if it was any other if Joe Burrow was on the Colts, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. The Colts are going to fucking run the table. But I just don't know about Carson Wentz. Like, I just don't know if this guy, like, maybe he can not create as many mistakes and keep the ball and you can run it with Jonathan Taylor. I just think there's a formula there.
Or I mean, the other scenario is the Bengals take the division and then the Ravens have the tiebreaker of the Colts.
Which would be okay. We've got a lot of really great tiebreakers, actually.
Yeah,
The
we got
and the
Chargers and the Colts. Yep.
So we're not in terrible shape as long as we win a couple of these games. You got to have 10 wins.
We got to have 10 wins. Yep.
Yeah.
So we need two more wins.
Right. And then we I don't know though, man, keep your eyes on the Colts. I'm telling you, if the Colts upset the Patriots, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think that's a really good team. And I know New England's really good. I know this. Yeah. But we'll just see how it goes next week.
It's going to be exciting. The picture is going to get, clearer after this week.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Cincinnati plays Broncos, Colts play Patriots. So
and here's another thing too. We don't know about COVID, right? So we're in the middle of this gigantic COVID outbreak that's affected certain teams in the league.
Yep.
We don't know the extent of it. It's only Wednesday, right? Yep. So we don't really know if more cases start to come out later on in the week. Maybe we reassess some of these picks next week because if you need 2 negative tests to come back in if you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
And if you're getting notice on Thursday or Friday that you tested positive, that doesn't leave you a whole lot of time to come in and play.
Oh yeah. I think that's like I don't think any vaccinated player that has tested positive has been able to play a game. That 2 tests in a row thing I think that's impossible to happen. I think they just say that as an incentive to get people vaccinated, but I don't think it's possible. I think it's just that time of year because you're seeing it in basketball too.
Yep.
You're seeing it's not just the NFL, so it's just that time of year. I don't think there's a lot of people lying about having it or not. I just think the vaccine isn't you won't get COVID type thing anymore.
Right.
Anyway, I don't
see how it goes. I'm sure that's a story that's going to be developing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's only Wednesday. All right, let's break down this week's matchup. The Packers come to M&T Bank to play the Ravens. It's the matchup predictor for ESPN. It has it with Green Bay as the favorite, 58.1%. The spread is -5 for Green Bay. And then the over-under is set at 43.5. I think the Ravens lose this game. I had them losing last week as well. I don't feel happy about picking the Ravens losing. But when you're going up against Aaron Rodgers, who is the reigning NFL MVP, you're going up against Devontae Adams with no corners and little safety help. Aaron Jones is a monster on the ground. I think we can mitigate some of the things that he's able to do. But Aaron Rodgers is just like a cerebral quarterback, right? And with our defense in the position that it's in, I have this game for the score. Man, I have 28-14 Packers taking the game. Chad, what do you think? We didn't get your pick last week. We're going to start off with you. What do you got?
This will be the first time that I pick against the Ravens. Devontae Adams. We don't have an answer for Devontae Adams. Our cornerback depth is kapooey right now, and I don't know who can stick Devontae Adams successfully. He's going to make some big plays eventually. I think it's too much to overcome, especially if Lamar's not playing. And even if Lamar does play, coming off an ankle injury, he won't be 100%. So I think I'll say that we lose 27-10. That's not crazy, but I just don't see how we can score much. I'm not worried about the run game because we've been doing well against other opposing rushing games, but that pass game, I don't think we overcome it. So and this is a loss we can take, in my opinion. It's an NFC loss, so it doesn't count towards our, when it comes to tiebreakers in the AFC, it's division and AFC opponent record.
Right.
And then your NFC opponent record doesn't matter. It's just win or loss in your win column. So we can lose that, especially with our 1-game lead in the division. So I'm not too worried about losing it. I think we do lose.
Brad, what do you think?
I'm gonna go 31-16 Green Bay. I will be there. Freeze my ass off too, by the way.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Me,
record all your frustrations and joys while you're there.
And his daughter. So
nice. Yeah. What's the weather going to be like? Let's look.
44 degrees, game time, partly cloudy skies. It's an afternoon game, so it's going to be 2:25.
Yeah, they pushed it to 4:25.
Yeah, there's not going to be any sun, so
it's
going to be cold. Yeah.
This is one of the flex games that they flexed out.
It's going to be cold, but I get to see Aaron Rodgers sling that thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And the thing is too, it's like you would think that you try and make up an excuse for Aaron Rodgers, like, oh, well, like if he played in a stadium, you could point to that, but he plays in fucking Lambeau Field every single year in December and January.
And still slings it.
He had a game last year against the Titans where it was snowing, cats and dogs, and he just like slung it all over the yard.
The only game he hasn't done shit was the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Can I say something though? If the Ravens do win this game, let's say the Ravens somehow pull it off. They win by a field goal and they can point a two. Let's say they do.
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah.
I
think it's possible.
At that point, I think they're a lock to make the playoffs if they can do that. So in this, the game is sort of important in the sense that if you do win it, you are in great shape moving into the AFC playoff picture. I just don't see how it's going to happen. But again, I don't know what COVID looks like, right? What does this COVID outbreak look like? Are we going to be experiencing some of these players for Green Bay having COVID? Are players from Baltimore going to
because we just
come down with Omicron or whatever they're calling it now? Like, I don't know. I don't. There's so much left to be determined before Sunday's kickoff, right? And we don't know if Lamar is going to play. My guess is they're going to start him. I think they're going to start him if he says that he feels good to go. I don't think they should. I think they should start Tyler Huntley, but I don't see why they don't just rest Lamar, take the L, and then go into your divisional games.
With us playing the Browns and they're having 18 people gone, I mean, that's going to – I'm only assume that somebody on our team is going to test positive this week.
I know. I'm waiting for it, right? I'm waiting for the shoe to drop because we just played them. If there are players who are testing positive, then are we going to be running into some of these issues? The same issues that can happen for other teams can happen to our team.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. There's a lot left. We'll have a clearer picture, I think, later on in the week when we find out what Lamar Jackson's injury status is and how this COVID outbreak goes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Don't even let him play. I mean, I'll call John Harbaugh right now and let him know, hey, shit ain't working. His ankle hurts. Let him rest a little bit. We need him for 2 weeks from now.
I can see that. Bring, bring. Hey, man. Hey, that 2-point conversion. Dope call, man. Dope. Oh, amazing. Great job. Don't listen to Phil Simms. But hey, don't start Lamar. Don't start Lamar this week. We all know it's a click by, hang up. That'd be great. I think he would take it into consideration. You know, I think people from Flock Squawk just get into his ear. I think, you know, who knows? Maybe there's some merit to that. Maybe he'll listen and maybe he'll be like, oh, those guys, they've been following us all year. They know what they're talking about. I think that's pretty much it. Do we have anything else to cover, boys?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think we've got pretty much everything. Thank you so much to our listeners and our subscribers. As always, you can go to TikTok at Flock Squawk Podcast. Our Twitter is at Flock_Squawk. And then obviously we're here on YouTube. So this is where you can listen to us primarily. Chad, it was great seeing you. Congratulations on the birth of your child. Brad, congratulations on becoming an uncle.
Yes, sir.
And I'm happy there's good news in the Cummings house all around. I'm very stoked. I think that we are in a much more favorable position than we were last week. Like I said, I'm going to try not to be as negative on podcasts as I normally am. And I like what I saw from our defense yesterday. So, boys, with that in mind, I think we're ready to sign off. Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
I love you.
Call. Everybody. And everybody love everybody.
Exactly. Everybody love
positive world up in here. We want that positivity.
Hey, we all picked a loss, so it's going to be nothing but positivity next week anyways, because we already expect to lose. And if we win, it's that much more positivity.
Right. If we win, this there's going to be confetti raining from my ceiling. It's going to be amazing. I'll set it up. Yeah. I'm not a very arts and craftsy kind of guy, but I'll tell you what, if they do win, I'll set it up and I'll do it anyway. All right, boys. Let's get out of here. Send Taylor my love. Send Ashley my love. Brad, I'll see you later. Love you both. And we'll
too, bro.
have this on Wednesday.
All right, guys. Love. Much love. Peace.
Love y'all. Be good.